Well, hello, hello, hello. I am working up a project, the intended project for this paper that I bought over at Frank Garcia's store. I bought this to do the Ephemera folder swap over with Vianney Creates. And it's one of those moments where you know you have a huge stash of paper. I think I've said this before. It's like when you have a closet full of clothes and you have nothing to wear. I have a cabinet full of paper and just nothing clicked. And I don't know. I just like, you know what, heck. I went and the minute I saw this paper, I knew. You guys have already seen the review. I mean, when I showed it off to you, I knew it was it. So here we are. I'm going to work up. I need to make 4 folders. I bought the paper. I bought a little bit extra. I don't know why I didn't show these 2 sheets, but I have these sheets too. And I've decided to work these up. I think are going to be my folders. I already made a bit of a sample one. Where is it? Right here with paper. And I'm still going to work it a little bit differently than I created here. But, you know, I've made some little notations and I'm changing it because actually it's going to be this way, believe it or not. But that, you know, when you're going to make a new project, I highly suggest, if you're unsure, like I was, because honestly, these folders and planners are not, it's really way out of my comfort zone, which is why I'm doing this, to get myself out of my comfort zone and to do something different. So, but anyway, make yourself, grab some cheap paper, and this is just cheap craft paper from Michael's, and mock it up and fiddly fart with it and play with it until you get to where the vision that you want. I can't recommend that more before you bust out really beautiful paper. So I'm there. I know more or less, and even then I've worked it. I've fiddly farted with it some more since I made this. But I think I know where I'm going with this. I've kind of idled it, and I'm doing it a little bit different than the way Vianney. She has a tutorial that I highly recommend that you guys watch if you want to do a little folder like this. And in fact, I'll link you down below so you can see it, because she's my inspiration. She's the one that made me want to rise to the challenge. But I'm doing it differently because of the paper I'm using, and because if I were to fold it up, it would be upside down, and I'm not happy with that. I wanted everything to be in the direction it was designed to be. Why? Because I have nothing better to torture myself with, right? I mean, it's like, ugh. You know, so and there you go. Although, now that I think about it, I was planning on cutting from the top up, but I'm thinking of doing it actually from the bottom down, which will allow more. So I see, and this is what happens when you look at, so study your paper. Don't spend 3 days, okay? But study a little bit and work it in your brain. Figure out, because once you know the samples, it's going to be this way. You know where your cuts are going to be and what's going to be depicted. That's what you do. So, I mean, and now realizing, I thought I did, and now I realize when I'm really looking at it, no. I'm not starting from the bottom. I'm starting from the top. But what I am going to start with is I'm going to cut off these strips. So give me a moment, because this is not rocket science. You don't need to see that. Let me cut my strips off, and I'll be right back. Okay, I am now cut off, or I have now cut off the bottom tabs of this paper, so now I'm ready to cut. So again, taking into account what I said on this paper, this folder, this is the part that's going to be my folder. And I'm going to cut it 7.5 by 11. So, and I will put all the measurements that I do. If you care to duplicate this, then I'll get it, because this is basically my folder needs to be 5 by 7. I am going to do a fold on the top and on the sides. This is also, I think, the way Vianney designed it, and because I think it adds a little bit of reinforcement, in my opinion. And I'm leaving the bottom because and rather than create the pockets on the bottom and fold them up, because it'll make the paper upside down, I'm going to just cut it separately and create my pocket. So I will show you in a minute. So right now the main part is I need to cut this paper. Always be careful when you're cutting your paper. Keep in mind which direction you're sticking it in. Not that I've ever stuck it in the wrong way. No, not me. Nope, never. Right, Myra. I don't even believe myself. Not even in my most delusional delusions. But anyway, so okay, we're gonna go 7.5 right here on this guy. So on both of these, so I'm going to got both pieces of paper. God help us all. on these two. So these are my typewriters, which are just so, gosh, they're so beautiful. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have bought more paper to make one for myself. In fact, on that note, I think I will. It'll give me an excuse to go back, excuse me, to go back to Frank Garcia. It's like I need an excuse. Okay, so now I've got both my piece of paper. These are going to form the main body of my folder. What this should leave me is a little over 4 inches, right? It's going to leave me 4.5 inches. But I only need a 3-inch pocket. That's what the dimensions are supposed to be as part. And I'm doing a little bit. I was planning on cutting 4 only, because just so that, because I'm going to add a little die cut on the top. So I'm going to go with 4, and I'm going to cut off a 1/2-inch strip. And I mean, look at the back side of the paper is really pretty. So trust me, I will find a use for that 1/2-inch strip somewhere along the way. So we will just cut off a 1/2-inch strip on this one. And I'm going to cut off a 1/2 inch because this is going to be my bottom. And we have a Mr. Bo over here looking at me longingly saying, I need to go out, Mom. So give me a second. I have to pause and let the dog out. Oy. Okay, now we've got all our pieces trimmed down, or at least cut. And now I need to trim down the sizes. Now on this, I need it to be 11 inches because it's still 12 inches. So I have to think, okay, where am I going to trim off that 1/2 inch? As you're looking at this, you have to make a decision. What would I rather cut off? So I'm going to cut off on this end because it's the part, if I cut off 1 inch, I believe I'm cutting off less. That's just my personal opinion, and it's a usable, let's see. Because you have to make, there's 1 or 2 decisions. If you make a decision to cut off a chunk, or I can go 1/2 and 1/2 on each side, which pretty much renders these pieces almost unusable. But it does preserve more of the picture. And now that I think about it, it's still going to be unusable, but I'd rather do it this way because remember, I'm going to have to take a 1/2 inch to cut over. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'd rather waste the paper. And sometimes that's a decision you have to make when you're working a project, is to decide which way you're going to go. Sometimes you want to salvage paper. Sometimes you're like to say, okay, yeah, never mind. Let's not get crazy here, because crazy, there's me. I got that covered for you guys. Okay. So in this case, I am making the decision of cutting these 1/2 inch strips, and we'll see if we can make use of them later. I mean, this folder, the nice part of it is it makes a good use of the paper. I am wasting it, really, in all honesty, because I'm choosing to do so because the paper is flat out beautiful. Here is another example. I need if the inside, at the end of the day, the inside of this pocket's only this folder, I need to pick a pocket, is 5 inches. It's a 5-inch folder wide. But I already know that if I cut it, I need to cut an extra inch on if I want to do like a full pocket, I got to cut an extra inch on each side. I don't need that. So I only need actually a 1/2 inch on one side because I'm choosing to leave the other side open, which is, I believe, how Vianney designed it. And that's cool with me. But so again, it's back to a decision. So of how we're going to preserve the paper, how best to preserve the beauty of the paper itself. So that means if I need a 5 inches, then I can cut it in half. Either I can cut it down to 11 and cut a 1/2 inch off again from each side, or I just cut it 6 and 6 and still cut it at 1/2 inch on each side, because the reality of the situation is I've got to cut it on a smidge, for my purposes, a smidge under 5 inches, so that it does not, when it closes, it does not bunch up right here. So I'm looking at it being 5 and maybe more like 4 7/8. I need the pocket itself to be. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to cut the blessed thing in half. That's what I'm going to do, and then just cut another 1/2 inch off of each side and stop torturing myself with math. I hate math. So now I've got 6 inches. I needed 5, so I am going to cut not only the 1/2 inch I need, I am backing off 1/16, or no, 1/8 of an inch or somewhere in between. I'm making that decision to being like 4 7/8, so that when all this is scored, it's going to be on the inside of the fold. Am I crazy? Yeah. What were you guys thinking? Really? You doubted this? And we're hoping that my rudimentary math is going to work. Okay, so 6, what did I cut this to? I cut this down to, okay, so just over, okay, so just under 5.5. Okay, I gotta pay attention. So right smidgen right in there. So now I'm gonna set this aside. I'm gonna score. You know what? Give me a second. I'm gonna cut up my other, no, I've changed my mind again. I'm going to set this aside. Let me put it where it goes. I'm going to score. We're going to score these pieces because hopefully I've just not wasted 2 pieces of beautiful paper. I am going to score these to make sure they work, and then I'm going to cut up my other 2 pieces because I, like anybody, I'm the master of making a hot mess of things. So what I do know, again, following this, I need 3 1/2 inches. So I'm going to go a 1/2 inch from this side, my handy dandy Martha Stewart, and my bone folder. Gosh, this is dirty. I need to like take a I don't know, magic, I don't know, I need to clean it. It's like, ugh. It is well loved. How about that? Does that sound, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I'm coming off a little bit off of here so that, yeah, I can get, yes, that's what I want. I want that score to be good all the way edge to edge. There we go. And then I also need a score, and this is 11 inches, so I need it to be in the middle for that fold. So needless to say, I'm going 5.5. So we've got that score in the middle at 5.5 inches. And then I need my score at the top to reinforce. That's going to be that's what I'm deciding to do. I'm going to do that. And I watched Vianney's reveal, and for the life of me now, I don't remember it completely, but I'm just going to do, I just want to do something different. Not necessarily protest and on principle and all that crazy stuff, just because, we might as well try to fly by the seat of our pants, Okay, so I got that. Now let me do the same with this one, all right? We'll get that done real quick. Okay. And Elvis has come to visit. Well, hi there, Elvis. Dude, really? Seriously? Right in the middle. This cat. No, Elvis. You don't understand, right? My phone uncharged, so while I am recording, I'm charging it at the same time. So he wants to chew on the cable, and he wants me to love on him, is what he wants right now. Seriously, gato? Oh, my lordy. He is determined. Some days, I'm telling you, some days, somebody tell me, am I the only one with regular cat visits? Hello. Hey, don't eat the book either. He's chewing on it. He's a young guy. He's just under a year old, so he's still a kid at heart. No, Elvis. No. Love you, bye. Okay, guys, hang on. Give me one moment. I'm going to evict. Bye, kitty. There you go. Bye, kitty. I'm not sure I was convincing. You will soon find out whether I was or not, because he's still hanging around in the neighborhood. I'm sorry, guys, but there you go. The cats of scrapbooking. I believe I am not the only paper crafter who has a cat show up on camera, so I'm going to take security and numbers, and there it is. I'm always keeping it real, guys. This is what happens. This isn't pretty, but I have fun. I'm sharing my madness. Remember, I am the MaddScrapper, so I'm just sharing my madness. Okay, so we've got these 2 down, and now I need to do my pockets. So my pockets, all I need is to turn it right side up. Yeah, there we go. And this way. So now the paper will be looking down. Although it's like, no, this is the way well, that's the way it is. So it is what it is. right? Yes, because it just looks a little bit, why does it look different? Maybe, oh, because this is the way it is. See, I'm like, why? Okay, so I need a 1/2 inch on the bottom because it's going to flip up. So it's going to create part my 1/2 inch on the bottom. And then on the left side, or on one side, the outside as well. It will double up, I believe, and I'm planning, I think I'm going to leave it that way. We will see. I may have, what happens if when I do that? I may be cutting that tab off. Let me be honest with you. So this may have, but this is part of the going through it process. It's only a 1/2 inch paper. I am not going to stress this. Because when I put in the pocket, that's what it's going to, I'll show you a method how I do that. So it allows me to make that adaptation if I need it. Okay. So I got both my pockets here. I need to do one more thing because I do want to decorate the top. So I have here buried in my hot mess here to my left, I pulled out these Spellbinder dies that I've had for forever and a day. I got these at the expo. I probably had these for close to 10 years. You know, there used to be a seller who used to sell these really, really marked down. So I think I got these for maybe 10 bucks back then. I'm you know, good, bad, or otherwise, there you go. I've had these for a good long time. But what I want to do is I want to use this one. This scallop, hang on. It's got a couple of little pieces of paper in it. This scallop, I want to cut out the scallop out of here. Like this. So that's why I left myself a little extra. So all I really need to do is center it. So see how much sticks out. So that looks pretty good. And all really, it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not going to take a ruler to it. But what I am going to take to it is some washi tape. Yes, it looks a little high here, a little low there. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's good enough. I don't think it's going to be really, really super noticeable. I'll push out my 2 pieces of washi tape, and then I'm going to grab my marquee and the folder that's right here. And let's carefully run it through. And what I love about this marquee is this is going to do it in one and done. That's what I look at there. There it is. So see how pretty? And then we're going to do the other one too. Let me center it again. Whoops, I lost. Where did I lose my washi tape? It left. Oh, it's stuck to the paper. Ding-a-ling that I am. See, this is why you guys hang out, right? You're just going to see, what is she going to do next? And it's not like in a good way. It's like you see all these other wonderful artists are like, yeah, no, you're going to see what insanity, what stupid thing I'm going to do next. I know. You guys are all, I'm sure there's a pool out there somewhere. Let's see what Myra does next. Okay. I'm going to send this through. Whee! There we go. Set that aside. Put you right there. I got my paper out. Excuse me for a moment while I beat up my die. Although we don't need to worry about that now. So now I've got my folder and 2 pockets. So I'm honestly going to start with the folder. The one thing I need to do before I fold this all up is I'm going to miter the edges so that I get really pretty corners when I fold these over. So I'm going to grab my handy dandy scissors. Hopefully you can see what I'm going to do is I need to cut right across here, right on top of that fold, not too far in and not too far out, or it won't lie flat, and we won't know it until I fold these over. So we're going to do this. The worst thing that happens is if I don't cut enough off is I got to go back and trim off a little piece. So when you do this, keep in mind, you're better off being conservative and trimming off less and needing to come back than cutting off too much. Because if you cut off too much, then you're going to have like an open corner. You're not going to have that perfect edge, which is what you want. You want it to have that beautiful corner and it lie completely flat. So now all we got to do is, you know, just train the paper a little bit. Because if you do this first, just do a little bit of training, you're not going to have cracking. So just give it a second. And then, you know, give it a second to do its thing. What I'm also going to do just on this end, just because to reduce some of the bulk, I'm going to come up, snip off on both of these ends. Right here, and the same here and here. Okay. So we got that. Now we can continue to train the paper, just gently rolling it over so that it doesn't crack. And then before I really completely roll it and fold it in half, I want to come in right here, and I'm going to take out, I'm going to do basically the same principle as I did at the bottom. I'm going to come in towards the middle, and Elvis is going to get away and not allow me to make that cut. Elvis! Really? No, Elvis. No. No, he's going to chew on. Hi. Hi, can I help you? Hello. Really? Oh my goodness. Okay, guys. Give me a sec. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to find a certain cat a treat or food or something. All right? Be right back. All righty. I have hopefully bribed the cat to stay away for a bit. Set them up with the little midnight snacks, so to speak. And I'm not kidding you. It is literally a midnight snack. I do a lot of my work here in the wee hours of the night. Peanut Valerie works at Amazon and works an overnight shift. And it's when it's quiet and it's calm here, I do work full time. So it's when I have free time. It kind of just is. Okay, so I'm also going to go ahead and fold these over and do the same bit of training exercises. Just ease it into wanting to fold rather than going full out on it. Give it kind of like coax it into doing what I want, and I'm going to be less likely to end up with any paper. Some of these better quality, and this is really good quality cardstock. You're going to end up with less likely of having it crack on you. So that's, I highly recommend. Okay, so now I think it's ready. It's ready for me to burnish. Let me move my scissors back. We're going to grab our bone folder, and I'm going to ease into it. I'm going to use my rounded edge first, because I will hit it with the flat edge, will ultimately fall it. And see this? This is what I was talking about right here. I have a little tiny bit of overlap. So after I put my scissors away, I'm going to come back in and just literally take like a millimeter off. And let's see, let's test it again. And there you go. Now they abut almost perfectly. And that's what I wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one first and then come back and flatten this one down a bit just to get that really nice, crisp and sharp fold. And if I do it now, let's see what happens here. Here, I cut it perfectly. So, wah! I did that. Whoops, almost did it wrong. So, I'm using the softer rounded edge first. And you see I've got really nice, crisp folds and no cracking. So that's your kind of like your rule of thumb. If you want to avoid your paper cracking, when you fold it, just go ahead and take a couple of minutes, take a couple of seconds, and go ahead and just, those few seconds really will relieve you of a world of hurt. And the same goes here with the centerfold, particularly the centerfold, because this is, and here, so that little, yep, it looks good. So see, I just trained it over. Oh my gosh, look how pretty the half typewriter, both on the front and the back look. Yes. And now we're going to go ahead, I'm going to set this aside for a second. I'm going to come back then and burnish that center. I'm going to come in and burnish my sides on this baby. Just like I did the other one. Do that first, and then let's check this cut was perfect. I cut it perfect. Wow. Who knew I could do that? I sure as heck did. Now, I usually take a 50-50 if I'm going to be able to do it right or not. Okay. And then just this one too. And I'm sorry this is taking a little bit longer. I'm not, I am so sorry. I'm just not like everybody else. I can just cram things out. I tend to be a little bit of a slow paper crafter. There we go. I'm sorry. See, there goes the other one. I have to now trim off. That's that tiniest sliver. You see, that's all I need to, usually it's all it takes to pull off. Yep, told you. Millimeter. That was it. That's all that needed to come off. And it will lay flat for us. Let me lay that this way. And then come in. And now, again, we're good. No cracking. Here, it seems good. It's hard to know when to cut that divot in just right. So now I'm going to go back now with the sharp side and really sharpen that and just really get that nice, crisp, sharp edge right here. And it's the details, guys. It's all in the little details. And then I'm going to fold it carefully, do the training first. Coax it without forcing it. So that way our paper doesn't crack, because that would make me sad. And it'll make the recipient sad. Actually, the recipient will never know, because I'll just have to go buy another piece of paper and make her a new one. That's just it. And this one is good to go. So this one, I'm now ready just to burnish it. I may not make it the rough burnish. I think I'm just going to leave it with that and not go the super flat. And there you go. So I've got these two are now. We'll come back. We're going to do the super burnish here. I wonder why. That's interesting. This is not perfect. It is. So I didn't catch the other one before I burnished. So I'm going to try to see. It's not quite even. So let me see if I can convince it to become even. It's still not perfect, but it's imperceptible. It just bothers me, and I know it's there. Now all of you are going to know it, and if the recipient watches it, she's going to know it too. I'm sorry. Okay, now we're ready for our pockets, and we're going to do the same thing to the pockets that we did to our friend here. We're going to mite, or my goodness, and there's no good way of looking at this. Usually I do the back side because I see a better time, but the way this pattern is, and where armor, hang on, let me switch and put the computer glasses. Whoops. Much better, but it's just the way this pattern is. It's making it hard for me to see where the joint is. So again, we're going to try to go conservative. And there, I don't need, all I need to do here is do this. Quick snip there. And then I'm going to do the same here. See here, you can see it much better. It's just the way of the paper. It's just happened to be where the pattern lay. I can see the junction really better on this one. And then we're going to go, whoops, right here and snip it back. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to train it. Just take a second and train that paper up to want to do what we want it to do. I can already tell, yep, this one, I had a feeling. It didn't feel right. So I need to take off a snippet, another snippet. So if I do that, yep, that's going to be good. And then the same here, we're gonna, I'm like tossing things away. Just to push it up here, and I have to do one more thing also, I forgot. I'll come back and I'll do them both together. But let's see if this is also, same thing. Little on these, and it's just really, I just couldn't see well. But again, it is better to undercut than overcut, because you can always come back several times, apparently, because practice makes perfect. And this was the one that gave me, this is the one that really gave me trouble. And let's see, yeah, there we go. Now it looks fine. So we can just fold that in. So I had to cut quite a bit. I went really short on this one. So we're ready to do first this burnish. Burnish that down, and then we'll open it, and we'll come back and do this one. And then, oh my goodness, I have all that paper to throw in my trash that is rapidly filling up. And then, see, even here, I thought I had it, and I don't. But I am literally pulling a minuscule piece of paper off. There we go. But now we are ready. Actually, it doesn't matter, we're ready. I'm doing it anyway, right? To burnish this down. I have to do one more thing, because you can kind of see on this one, actually the holes line up almost perfectly, but really just so you don't block the lacy loopy look. Why don't we just do that? Just cut in just the tiniest of bits from here down. Whoop. And now not a problem. And now I've got my pockets. So I have two pockets, one here that will go here and should be perfectly. So see, I steered this one. See, I could have done more. So because I no longer, when I first did it, I had pockets on both sides. But now that I didn't do that, or not, but I had one of these tabs on both sides. And then I decided, no, it bulks up and it doesn't work right. So that's when I decided to only do it on one side. I had my heart set on doing a closed pocket is what I did, but I rethought that strategy. And so now I'm going to do is I'm going to take an eighth, like a 16th of an inch off. There we go. And let's see, let's check it. So sometimes it takes a little fine tuning to do this. When you're somebody like me who actually is totally winging this, doesn't know what she's doing. There we go, much better. So now it's going to close just really nicely. So now I got to check this guy too. Let's see. So if that one didn't work, there's a good chance that this we're going to have the same issue. No, see this guy. So I wonder if I just never cut it. What do you guys think? Does anybody remember? Somebody tell me that I cut it. But there, this one's fine. This one's perfectly fine. So we are ready. I'm going to start first with these folders. We are ready. Let me move this over. To glue down our edges, I'm going to go ahead and use wet glue. If I'm doing album making, normally this kind of stuff, I use double-sided tape, like score tape. But it's not the same kind of a project. It's not going to be, sustaining a lot of tension like an album does. So I'm going to go ahead and use wet glue. And I don't know why I use wet glue really for a lot of things in album making, because I should. So, but it's been a while since I've done an album. So, and I have one here that's almost done. That maybe I should do a bit of a reveal to you guys. And it's one for my cousin for his daughter who recently got married. I made her wedding album, but it ended up being much bigger than I thought. So I ended up with extra pages. So I'm turning it into a mom and dad album, and I'm seeing them in a couple of weeks. We're all going out there, having another cousin's weekend out in Arizona. So we're driving out, and literally driving out on Friday, getting in whenever we get in from California, and then get up early in the morning, have breakfast. They've rented a pontoon boat. My sister's driving up with 2 jet skis, and we're going to go out to a lake by them. I forget what the name is, and I'll tell you guys about it later. And we're going to be out on the lake all day. Then the wife is going to cook us a real good dinner. We'll stay, just catch up. Just a good old kind of cousin's weekend. And then we drive home on Sunday. I do not believe Peanut Gallery is going to go because he works on Sundays. So I think he's actually going to stay and do some stuff with his mom. So we will see. That's the plan for not this weekend. This weekend, tomorrow, I leave. Day after tomorrow, we're going to be in Oceanside, just the two of us for a bit. That's just us. That's our weekend to celebrate our anniversary. So we're just having a, call it romantic, whatever. We just need some R&R. We just need some us time. So I am very, very much looking forward to that. Yeechi. Clean that up. So this is what happens when you're doing stuff and talking at the same time. You do dumb things. There we go. What we have now, we just have to do this tabs, and then I'm going to really make a decision about how I'm going to do that pocket. Get it right to the edge. I want nothing to, no flaps to be sticking up. And I'm using my Barely Art because it gives me that moment. Although I really don't need squidget time with this. Really. But it really is my go-to glue right now. It is my favorite. Okay. So we just have that little bit there. Okay. So we got that done. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to do this one, but you guys don't need it. Oh, no, I already did. Oh my gosh, see? This is the problem with late night scrapping. So we will just do one. We're just doing one set of pockets anyway right now. So now we're ready to go here. what I normally do when I do pockets of any kind, and albums the same, is I glue this one down. I will usually have tape applied here, tape applied here. But this one is the one I mount first, because now I can take a moment. And what I want to feel is, let's do this. I mean, I think I can kind of flake it. Let's fake it. And see, we do that and we do this. How does this feel? Oh yeah, I think there's a part of me that wants to leave that little extra reinforcement, although I really don't have to. I really can take off that edge. So, oh my goodness. Decisions, decisions, decisions. I'm going to take it off. And we'll see. We will see if I live to regret that decision. And if I do, I have the other one yet to cut. And I can go back to plan A. So now what we're going to do is just going to take that 1/2 inch, and I'm having a problem. I don't know, does anybody else have the We Are Memory Keeper trim, guillotine like this one? I have developed a problem. I don't know if it's just a design defect, but look, it wants to snag right there. I have to actually pull it out and then snap the arm down. So maybe I need to write We Are about this, because I love this baby. I really do. But I don't know why it's doing that. So now all we have is right there. So I'm going to glue it here, and then we'll do this side right here. So let's do the bottoms first. So let's apply our glue here. Oh yeah, I need to refill this bottle, which will be only the second time I refill it since I bought this glue last year. I want to say in April of last year. This was, I discovered Barely Art really, really early on in the pandemic and in the shutdown when we first came home. And who knew how much life was going to change? And I think personally our lives have been changed forever. I know mine has. Absolutely. So, okay, now we'll do the same with this one. Yep, I did it right. Although, quite frankly, nobody would know. I could have turned them around the other way and separated. So I may try that with the other one. Let's see. Instead of putting that detail. No, I don't know. It's kind of like 6 in one hand, 1/2 in the other, because there's always going to be that tiny little gap. I'm just going to line it up. And I am going to go ahead on this one for sure. I'm snipping that little piece off because I foresee trouble. There we go. Okay, so, and I think I'm going to do the same with here, because as you pull things out, push things in, the recipient will get this. I am just going to take that. There we go. Yeah, I like how that feels. So now all I have to do is I'm going to apply the glue here. And fold that up and align it. And then the same here. There's a part of me that's twitching for doing it this way. I am so used to my albums I've made. I'm a great follower of Kathy King, the Paper Phenomenon. And I am used to making my pockets, it's in a U shape. There's, 1/2 inch on each side. I never do this. But I think for this is a different animal. So, but there. This is now done, and I am actually happy with how it looks. Whoa, what's that all about, right? So yeah, I am really, really pleased with that. No extra bulk. I'm like, okay, great. So then give me a second. I'm going to come back, and I'm going to get all the other the folders done. Okay, be right back. Quick, let's get on with this before a cat or the dog or the birds or the fish or whomever comes and raids it. So we're done. Yay! I got all 4 of the folders done finally after 3 takes. I'm actually think I'm going to get this finally taped. It's been a day, a night. It's just, I'm ready to leave for Oceanside. That's all I can tell you. Anyway, these are done. I'm really pleased with how these turned out. Both of them. They're not exactly what I had envisioned when I started, but that's okay. That's okay. And that's part of the creative process, how you go from where you think you're going and you go into left field. And I am pleased for my first try. I'm not unhappy. So, I mean, I love how now when I figured it out, I learned something today about how I look at paper, because a lot of us, we just stare at paper because we just don't want to cut it. That's not it. In this case, I learned to look at it to see where to strategically cut. So here I cut from the top because it gave me the prettier part of the paper. Here I cut from the bottom because I got this really cool typewriter. So you got to take a second and examine what you're doing and figure out really what you're doing before you decide it. And sometimes to get what you want, you're going to waste a little bit of paper. I am like the queen of the paper misers, but in this project, I kind of like, you know what, Myra, get over it. It's not that much. The paper is like, I mean, paper's not cheap, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to kill me in the grand scheme of things. And I had a vision. I wanted what I wanted. So there you go. I got the 4 of these done. So now all I have to do now is fill them with 15 pieces of ephemera, each folder. And I'm going to do a combination of, I already went through and searched in my stash for stuff that I had. And then I'm also going to create some of the ephemera. Part of it's going to be out of the paper I bought, but it's going to be a little bit of everything. So I just wanted to share with you guys where I am at here. I'm going to come back in another video with the ephemera. So hopefully if you learned something from this, or you enjoyed it, or just sat back and laughed at me, I'm good with that. Go ahead, if you feel the notion, throw me a thumbs up, drop me a comment and said, or at least tell me, girl, I've been there. Or not, or like, oh Lord, woman, what were you thinking? All good. And if you would like to see more of this insanity, if you need to feel better about yourself and say, oh God, at least I'm better than her, then I'm there for you. Subscribe, because trust me, there will be more of these shenanigans in the future. So subscribe, ding the bell so you know when I'm on, and grab a cup of coffee, kick back, and be ready to laugh. And otherwise, remember, just like here in the crafting corner of madness, we're all a little mad here. So scrap your madness, okay? I'm going to talk to you guys later. Bye.